Okay, everybody, this is big news on the other side of the globe, but we should be watching here because 5 million kids in Australia are now navigating life without social media. Yeah, as of today, a new law banning Australians under the age of 16 from Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Oh, also Reddit, Twitch, the whole suite. The burden lies on tech companies to keep kids off their platforms through ID checks, AI-powered face scans that are guessing someone's age. There's a few other things in place. However, the question is this ban gonna actually work? Or is the cat already out of the bag? So what do we think?
I mean, obviously this is an experiment, so we don't know exactly how it's gonna go. And kids aren't good at technology, right? Oh, they are, they're gonna figure it out. So yeah, we don't know that this is gonna be effective, but we do know from a lot of research that social media is a danger to kids, and we don't know the full effect of how it's gonna affect their adult lives. So it just feels like there's an urgency to make something happen. I keep thinking about my kids when they grow up. They're gonna think about us on social media like people smoking in the 50s, being like, you smoked everywhere? On the toilet you were smoking?
While you're pregnant?
You were smoking while you're pregnant? Like,
Yeah.
so, you know, I don't think even we are aware of how affected we are by social media and the negative effects.
Yeah. Interesting. You know,
Yeah,
what do you think, Dalton?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard this, like, I was thinking, are the bureaucrats in Australia, like, are they stuck in the Stone Ages? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Social media ban? Like, what do they want to bring back, like, typewriters and, you know, cassette tapes, too? Like, come on, you know what I mean?
So you think it's too late?
I think it's way too late, and I also think, you know, I went to Australia years ago to hang out in Sydney, and, you know, the rural communities out there, because in these stories they're talking about if you live in the outback, the remote communities, like that's the only place to really, you know, to connect is via social media, something else, right? So, so I worry about Australians that live in the outback and the rural communities, young people in particular.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, I want to take the time to applaud Australia for seeing something that's happening to their young people and doing something to protect them. Because I think too often we see horrible things happening to young people, I'm not calling you out, United States, and then it's kind of like, well, we're not going to do anything about it. So I love that they're trying to do something about it, but I think I align with the both of you, where I'm thinking of myself at 16, where I already have my driver's license, I have agency, and I'm listening to my parents, but I'm not listening to my parents, you know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if I were in that age group and this is how I live my entire life and this is how these kids live, everything they do is on this phone, and I hear about this ban, am I gonna pay attention and follow through, or am I gonna find some savvy way around it, and maybe I have an older sibling, or maybe I have a lax parent who's like, I don't believe in this rule, do whatever you want. I think there's a lot of things that have to come together, like everybody has to buy in for this to work for the kids. And for that reason, I'm a little skeptical. We're not talking about a small community of maybe 100 people, we're talking about millions of people buying in on the same thing. So I want it to work, but I just feel like the horse has left the barn.
Yeah, I get that, Here's the thing, there was a survey done last year when they were trying to decide if they were gonna do this. 77% of Australians voted in favor of this ban. So it does sound like, as a country, it sounds like the majority of people are behind this, and you're right, it's gonna take everybody participating. But here's the thing, going back to your alcohol or smoking ban, we still have a law, at least in this province, of age 19, right? Age 19 is when you can drink alcohol. Even though kids, because we all probably did it, snuck around and tried to figure out other ways to get
never.
I know. I mean, not me.
Not me.
Not me. I mean, maybe you, but maybe not me. The point is, the law still says what the law still says. So just because it's not going to be perfect, and I agree, I think for the 15 and 16-year-olds, this is going to be so terrible if you're in Australia. But if I had a daughter my age, which, or not my age, my daughter's 11 now, right? If she was 11 and we were living in Australia, I would be going, thank you, because this is going to save her future. So it'll be the hardest transition for the teens, the eldest ones. And guess what? The stories are already coming out in Australian news of how the kids are getting around it. But the point is, the law is now on the books, and you are going to protect a lot of kids, if not immediately, certainly down the road. I applaud them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And also, let's just go on record and say that if this works, we'll all be doing it, no matter what we just said. So ignore all that stuff. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. Sticking with Gen Alpha. Now, according to a piece in the Globe and Mail, kids today don't slow dance. They'd rather eat drywall, really? Instead, they just vibe in proximity to each other or like make videos. So is slow dancing a necessary rite of passage?
Oh.
Okay, Dalton?
Yeah. Well, I mean, slow dancing kind of died a slow death ages ago. Let's be honest, right? Like my kids, like you, right? This generation doesn't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, like I think back, even my wife of today, like that's how you when you want to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, at the school dance or whatever, you go ask some unsuspecting woman, do you want to dance? And then you build some intimacy, build some connection.
Yeah.
And generation now, like they have no clue as to what that is, right? So
Because they're all stuck on social media.
yeah. Right?
They're on their
And even the power of, like, when we say courting, when you're courting somebody you like, a potential partner, you can, I guess now, slide in the DMs or whatever. That's their equivalency to, like, slow dancing. But I don't know. I'm not, I wish there were more slow dancing.
You slide in, yeah. You can slide into the DMs to get to know someone, but you still have to have the initial, like, first physical engagement. And that's so awkward, right? Like, especially if you're young and you don't know anything about sexuality, it's so awkward. And, like, everybody, if you close your eyes, remember the first time you did a slow dance, it's probably a nightmare, right? But it's important.
Not mine.
Not I. But it's important that you go through that as a kid. I think there's like a puritanical thing to keep all sexuality away from kids, but like they need to stumble through it together to be like healthy sexual adults.
Yep.
We expect them to just figure it out on their own without going through any of this. No, they must get embarrassed and shamed like me.
You want them to go through it.
Picture me, headgear, acne, licking my fingers to wet the hair, and I still walked over to get rejected.
Yeah, you
there's a lot of rejection
Interesting.
involved. A lot of rejection involved.
Yeah.
Involved.
That walk across.
Do you want to
Okay.
dance? No? Okay.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. On to the next. On to the
Listen,
next.
it's fun for all of us to kind of wax on and think about back in the day of that person that you had a crush on, maybe it was your wife, and that's how you went across the room when you asked her to slow dance. But then there's the other part of it, and I don't think that we're all remembering it correctly, where just follow me for a second. So a boy asks you to slow dance, you say yes, and then, slow music is very romantic, and sometimes boys get excited.
What are you talking about,
Keep
Andrea?
listening and I'll explain to you. So then he gets excited, and some boys kind of back away their excitement while others push forward their excitement. And then I know, girls, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you find yourself dancing with a person who's got all of his excitement pressed up against you, and then slowly you go from dancing like this to like dancing like this to like dancing like fully like. And I don't have a daughter, but if I had a 12-year-old daughter who was going to a dance, would I be like, this is gonna be the best night of your life? A boy's gonna press his excitement up against you. I'd be like, you know what? I don't think you're missing much. You can wait on that. You guys can do other things. So I think we're just kind of romanticizing some of that slow dancing.
Yeah, it's true. But I think going back to that awkwardness and embarrassment, I certainly think about this a lot as a parent. They talked about helicopter parents, and now they talk about lawnmower parents, where you're not even just hovering. You're actually trying to get all obstacles and friction and awkwardness completely.
Friction is right.
Different kind of friction. So I think that there's a part of me, certainly as a parent, that I have to remind myself that a huge part of normal childhood and teen and adolescent development is awkwardness. It is embarrassment. It is getting rejected. It is feeling all the feelings. I think as parents, we want to protect our kids from all this stuff. That stuff is exactly what makes you, I think, a healthy adult. So it's not perfect. Nobody is perfect, but life is also messy. So I remember when I was a grade 7 and 8 teacher, and I took my kids to Quebec on a trip, and I surprised them with what they called a barge party, and it was all schools in the area. We were all on a club on a barge, and the kids were so excited because they got to slow dance with strangers. I'm going to tell you something. If my kids are watching, it was the best night of their life, okay? So bring it back! Bring it back!
More barge parties. No social media, all barge parties.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot to tell their parents. We did a barge party back then. Sorry. Forgot to tell them. Surprise! Up next. That's why I'm not a teacher anymore.
So let's move on to our next topic. Is there a difference between journalism and podcasting today? Well, podcaster Joe Budden told Rolling Stone that the line between the two has become blurry, and we need journalists to thoroughly vet things and do their due diligence and uphold journalistic integrity. So, Dalton, do you agree that the line has become very blurry between podcaster and journalist?
It's not blurry for me at all. I mean, when I want to tune into some like real journalism, air quotes, I listen to more traditional media, I gotta be honest, right? Because with journalism, it comes with a certain like code of ethics, It's gonna be like unbiased, neutral, right? Fair,
Facts.
Right? Facts-driven. Podcasts, on the other hand, in this part of the brain, it's for scandal and controversy and salacious rumors and innuendo.
Opinions.
In my world, not for real journalism. I don't go to lean on podcasts for that.
Now, do you believe everybody shares that idea, or do you think most people are going to podcasts for their journalism to find out what's going on in the world?
I think sadly and unfortunately, people are relying on the, if you look at the leading podcasts like, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Mel Robbins even, right? I think those are opinions-based, right? Those are not based on neutrality and being, unbiased. And I think people are relying on that for facts. But I have a bit of an issue with that because it's very skewed a certain way. Those are opinions, right? Those are not going down the middle for me.
Yeah. I think like everything you said is correct, but what my fear is that traditional journalism that relies on journalistic ethics may not be long for this world as we understand it, because it's sort of an antiquated idea because it doesn't fit into the economic model of today. So like traditional newspapers are folding left, right, and center all around the world. And I think we take for granted that there's gonna be people who care about the ethics of journalism and to push that forward into a new format. Other people who would have gotten into journalism for that reason in the past will now look and go, I don't need to do that. I don't need to study journalism. I'll just start a podcast. All I need to do is buy a camera and I can say whatever I want. And I do my research, which is whenever someone says they do their research, they didn't do any good research.
You know what they did is they looked at other social media accounts, and that's how they did their research.
Or they're pulling from other podcasts, and it becomes like a feedback loop of information where we don't have a centralized news source anymore. Like maybe even if it was biased before, it existed. The paper of the truth or whatever New York Times called itself. Is it still
and
that?
that's my issue. There's a real quality control issue when it comes to podcasts. There's just everybody and their third cousin has a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one. I have one.
Melissa has one.
I have one.
I've had several.
Yes. But here's the thing. I got into the podcasting world, but because I also come from journalism, I think I'm a little different than the regular cat on there because I also understand and respect journalism. I do a lot of women's health content and a lot of medical content. And I also tell people, there's a disclaimer on my podcast. This does not replace your doctor's care. And I think too many people don't do that because it's not important to them, but I don't want to be liable. I don't want someone to say, you know what, and listen, in this country, that's easy. There's 6 million, at least 6 million Canadians that don't have a family doctor. It's very easy to go to a podcast and say, well, they have answers. I am not an expert and I am not a doctor, and I'm gonna make sure that you go to the expert and you have a doctor. But I also am vetting my guests very differently because I do come from journalism. Now, can I say that about Joe Rogan or Mel Robbins? No, I have issues with both of those podcasts. And I know a lot of people love Mel Robbins, lovely name. A lovely lady, but she has had very problematic doctors that she puts on a #1 podcast. That is a problem to me.
Now, if she, great point. If she had a disclaimer, because you bring up a really good point, if every single podcast that's really just a conversation, because that's what Joe Budden, I love his podcast, by the way, and Mona's the best thing that ever was added to that podcast. But should he have a disclaimer along with the Joe Rogans to be like, listen, this is not journalism. We are having a conversation.
Or this is entertainment.
Yeah, more importantly, this is entertainment. Would that make it better? Would that make it more fair?
Yeah, I think every podcast should start that way. The same way that South Korea today said, if you're going to put anything online that's AI, it has to be clearly labeled.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing, nobody is managing and overseeing podcasts because if there was a standard, a body, you should start every podcast with, this is for entertainment purposes only, because guess what? That's what they are.
Yeah, and you know what, you bring up a good point because it kind of circles back to our first topic about the cell phone and these social media apps. There was nobody regulating or governing, and now we're finding out that it's very harmful, and now they're trying to implement rules much later. So it's very interesting, it all ties together.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. Okay, moving on. Forget the raccoon. Toronto should now be represented by the rat. Yeah, Orkin Canada released its 2025 Rattiest Cities ranking. And guess what? We are #1 in Toronto. Yes. But Victoria, you're the runner-up, followed by Vancouver. How do we feel about living in Canada's rattiest city?
This is fake news. As a person born, raised, and living in the downtown core, I am being 100% honest. I have not ever seen a rat. I see raccoons, I see seagulls, I see pigeons, I might see a mouse every once in a while, but I have never seen a rat. So I'm like, who did this survey? Like, where did they go? What alley did they go looking for?
It's Orkin, that's all they're looking for.
Orkin, no, because that's the thing. Orkin's a company, and I'm like, I see your marketing, but I will not have anybody who's not been to Toronto think that if you step foot here, it's gonna be rat infested.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Right?
The survey was done with rats? They asked rats what they think?
I have to defend my city.
You know what was funny too? This feels like a proud moment for Torontonians. Like when you said like we're number one ranked, rats, and everybody's like, woo, right?
No.
So and for me this actually fits Toronto's brand. Like we have the most raccoons, the most rats. Like there's like this downward spiral. I gotta be honest, right? I was born and bred here. There's a housing crisis as far as drug addiction, so this is on brand for the Toronto of today, where I'm concerned. Yeah, the Toronto of today is not the Toronto of yesteryear. Okay, there's a downward spiral happening.
Listen, it's not that I don't fully agree, but listen, every major city in North America is having a hard time. But I'll be honest, I don't see the rats either.
Look, you two both are like people who can't look at a magic eye poster and see the image. You're just not looking. If you really look, they're there. You guys are like fish who can't see water. It's all around you.
You think the two of us would not see a rat if it was walking down the street?
I have been through some alleys at 4 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'm going to tell you, I don't see them.
Thank you.
I don't see them.
I was like these, so I was delusional, too, but it's just like, no, there are rats everywhere, there are raccoons everywhere.
I'm going to ask the audience, by applause, who here saw a rat on their way to this studio? That's what I thought.
That's a tight time frame.
No, it doesn't matter. If we were so rat-infested and we're #1 on the list, somebody here would have seen a rat on their way here. We don't have rats. Don't listen to them. Come to the studio tonight.
You might be happy to know I brought a rat to the studio.
So we know the Super Bowl is coming up early in the new year, but singer-songwriter Kehlani says that she's hoping Bad Bunny, who's doing the halftime show, she hopes he doesn't speak a single word of English during his Super Bowl act. She's saying she hopes he speaks Spanish only, and she is manifesting it. So Dalton, 0 English. Is that the move for Bad Bunny, who, by the way, we know that Spanish is his first language, right?
Yeah.
We are all clear on this.
Yeah, totally. Well, how did Bad Bunny become the #1 artist on the planet? Which he is, right?
Yeah.
Spotify streaming. Like he's the #1 artist on the planet, and then it's Taylor Swift, the Drakes. It's by singing in what language?
Spanish.
Precisely. Okay, so why should he feel this need to switch that up? That's how he became #1, singing in Spanish. #1 artist in the world. And this idea of feeling the pressure to pander to American audiences, to Super Bowl audiences, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. On the other hand, if his management team, if they have this sort of like a new audience development scheme where they want to appeal to more English-speaking audiences, what Bad Bunny can do is bring in special guests, right? Special guests that sing or rap or do reggaeton in English. You can do it that way, right? But why mess with a good thing? That's what he does. He sings in Spanish, and he's #1.
Yeah, I think whenever the Super Bowl, which is like this American institution, doesn't have a very stereotypically like white, usually country singer doing the halftime show, there's complaints every year. If it's any kind of black artist, there's a litany of complaints. But I think he shouldn't speak in English at all, and he should just say nothing except sing his songs, because they're in Spanish, and he's a Spanish person. And I think it's important for Americans to see someone speaking the second official language of the country, by the way, just existing, being like, there is a massive Latino population in this country, and they have powered this man through economics to be the most popular singer. It's his right to sing at this place, just like it's anyone else's.
Yeah.
But I also think, like Kehlani pressuring him to do it, and other people saying how he should behave, it's a lot to ask someone to be the tip of the spear in a fight. He's already doing the show. That's kind of a fight unto itself. He's welcoming this hate that's going to come his way. So asking him to go above and beyond and say anything in any language is like, what does he want to do is more important.
The only thing Bad Bunny owes us is a flawless 13-minute performance during the halftime show. And if anybody's paying attention, if you watch the halftime shows, there's no chance. It's not like the beginning of a concert where the artist gets to come out and be like, hey, Toronto, how you guys? No. It is a scripted introduction. The NFL is pleased to present the Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show, and then the music starts. So there really isn't even a conversation about should he speak English. He has to sing all of the songs, and listen, the NFL, after that whole Janet situation, they watch everything carefully. He cannot come out and say something political. They don't allow for that. Also, he has no time for that. So even just having the conversation that he should say something in English is ridiculous. But also, it would be such a disservice and such a slap in the face to this community that he has held up. He had his residency in Puerto Rico for a reason, and he had special guests who are also Latin artists for a reason, because he wanted to hold up the Latin community. So why, when he's on this big stage, we turn around and be like, well, maybe you could say a little something in English? It's like, no, that would be such a disservice to the people who have supported him.
He doesn't do that. I think,
Just perform.
I think that I think we cannot forget that the backdrop of not only Bad Bunny, but the United States of America. If anybody watched Trump on the news last night, he was in Pennsylvania, and he went on what I would argue is the most
racist,
anti-black, racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant rant that he has done to date, saying things like people from Somalia, that place is an S-hole, those people, why can't we get more immigrants from Denmark? I mean, he's doubling down on the racism. And so Bad Bunny, who is very tuned into the politics of America, knows whatever he does up there, another guy who looks like him, who is on the street, could be scooped up by ICE tomorrow. And he understands that his actions actually have an impact on real innocent people on the street. So I don't think he's going to put anybody in excess danger. It's already a danger to be Latino in America today.
Yep.
It's a danger. So I don't think he's going to do anything to stir the pot, because he knows just being there is the statement.
Yeah.
So I agree. Keep it in Spanish, Bad Bunny.
Solamente
Keep it in Spanish.
español,
Solamente. Okay, so Dalton, we're so excited for you because you've got a brand new book out, and it is called 101 Fascinating Basketball Facts. Very cool. And your book digs into why people around the world love basketball so much. So I want to know, what is the most surprising thing that you found when you were writing your book?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how different communities, different cultural communities engage basketball. Like your background is Filipino, right? Half Filipino. So, for example, growing up in Toronto, what you learn very quickly is that the people from the Philippines, both men and women, basketball reigns supreme. Okay, and in the Philippines, it's the #1 sport by far, by a country mile. Right? There are all these Filipino basketball leagues throughout Canada and in Ontario. And the interesting thing there is that basketball is a sport that rewards height, okay? So you'll notice, if any of you watch basketball, you'll see it's a bunch of giants.
What are you saying, Dalton?
No, that's it. That's like, so
It's always worked out well for me. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at like factoids, you know, like, so the average height of an NBA basketball player is about 6'7", okay? WNBA, it's about 6'1". And then you now look at the Philippines, they say the average height of a male is about 5'4", and for women, it's about 4'10". Right? So then you're trying to look and say, hey, it's the #1 sport in the Philippines, but basketball players are really tall, right? So it's just a bunch of interesting factoids like that as to how different parts of the globe engage the sport. Very interesting.
This is fascinating. Cool. Thank you for that reference, indeed. We want to say, Dalton, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. And get this book. You can buy this anywhere that you find your favorite books, 101 Fascinating Basketball Facts. Again, wherever you find your favorite books today.